Dave, do you have your rotation set for the LSU series?
Yeah, Wicklander will go first, Paulette, and then we'll leave game three open, TBA right now.
Would Lockhart be an option for that spot, or who else are you considering for that?
I think Lockhart would be an option. I think Vermillion would be an option. Those are probably the two that jump out at me because, they have experience starting for us this year. Bob?
Hey Dave, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I was looking up the year-by-year results versus LSU, and I guess your first year back at Arkansas, you guys went down there and swept them, which that doesn't happen very often to LSU by anybody. But then you haven't been able to win a series down there since. I know a lot of that has to do with LSU and how good they are. But what do you think about that? And you guys are playing so well, and they're, by their standards, haven't had a real good year. Just how do you see? Do you feel like maybe this is the year you can go down there and win a series again?
Well, 2004 is the year you're talking about that we swept them. There were some really good games. I remember Friday night's game was a good game. Saturday's game, it seemed like we went extra innings. I remember Blake Parker throwing out a runner at the plate in the bottom of the ninth to extend the game and the bottom of the 10th to extend the game from right field. And then we scored some run in the 11th and won. It was a crazy game. And on Sunday, we won again. We also won the conference championship that year. So we had a good team. But yeah, it's been a tough place for us, and it's a tough place to win a series. And I think with this team that we have a chance to win a series anywhere we go. So I wouldn't say that they're having a tough year or a bad year. I just think that maybe some things haven't gone their way. They have a lot of talent, and they've had an injury on the mound that hurt them early in the season or a few weeks back, and they seem to be playing really well now. So it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Well, what impresses you about their team, hitting wise, pitching wise, just all around?
I think they're very athletic. They've got some really good freshmen that are playing really well for them. So, you mix in some of the older guys and veterans, and you saw, they were within a few outs or maybe one out really in the bottom of that eighth inning at Ole Miss from sweeping Ole Miss on the road. And I know how hard it is to sweep anybody, but especially Ole Miss at their ballpark. So they're capable, like any team in the league, of having a great weekend and getting after you pretty good. So, we're not taking anybody lightly, obviously. We have 4 weekends of SEC play left, and we only have one non-conference game. So we've had time to work and rest and think and get ready for this series. And we know it's a big series.
Yeah, I got a couple more, but I'll turn it back over to Oliver. Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Tom?
Hey, Dave, I'm wondering with what Bolden gave you the other day and the fact that Nolan is coming back. I mean, you got a lot of options, and I'm wondering how you feel about maybe the long guys and the pitching staff as a whole, maybe.
Right. Well, Bolden would be a guy, too, that if we don't use him one of the first 2 days out of the pen, maybe long relief, first guy to go long for us, things don't go well with the starter, you got to have somebody kind of penciled in to do that. And that would be Caleb right now. But he would be available to start on Sunday as well. If we can get these guys back out there that have been banged up a little bit, like Nolan, and he can have some success, and not using Lockhart all last week. If he could give us some innings, or whether he starts or comes out of the pen and gives us a few quality innings, that would be big. And yeah, just trying to get it going a little bit. Wiggins didn't throw last weekend, and he's ready to go. So we feel like every team does, if they're rested up a little bit with your pitching, that we should be able to use some guys at least one time and maybe a couple of guys twice.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how Nolan has looked in his most recent mound, his outings, and also like Ramage and Blake Adams. How have those guys look?
Yeah. So Nolan, all 3 of those guys threw yesterday at the end of practice to some live hitters. Nolan threw a lot of strikes, did a nice job. First time up on the mound against hitters in a while. So I thought he did pretty good. And, as far as Adams, up and down yesterday, Ramage threw a lot of strikes, got some guys out, gave up a few hits. But, I'd say that Nolan and those 3, Nolan and Ramage were probably the best. Blake's stuff was good. He needed to throw a few more strikes, but it's in there. Hopefully he can help us out in the future. Nick?
Hey, Coach, the Win Reality virtual equipment that you guys use at your facilities, how do you feel? In what ways have you felt that's benefited your team offensively?
Well, it just educates you on what's going on. It gives you an opportunity to see things in advance a little bit and see what pitchers are going to look like a little more in the box. And we've got a lot of technology, and any information you can get, it gives you a little bit of a head start of what you're going to see is definitely going to help. That's a tough question. We could go on for hours on that. It's like anything else. Back in the old days, it was video and film work, and nowadays it's getting to put on a set of goggles and watch another pitcher throw in another game. It's not like being in the box hitting them live, but at least you get an idea of what's going to be coming if you haven't seen it before. So it's just technology, and if you know how to use it, and I feel like we do, it's going to help you at least get off to a good start against some people. Nate?
Yeah, Dave, I was kind of curious, what's your criteria about third base, the way you've been using Nesbitt and Smith, as far as kind of what you look for out of both of them?
Yeah, it's probably been the hardest part of the lineup to write up, just because they both bring a little bit of a different part of the game. Obviously, one hits right, one hits left. It doesn't mean that because Nesbitt hits right that I'm going to start him against lefties and vice versa. Kind of look at the matchups a little bit. Nesbitt has a lot more experience defensively at third base, but if you look at maybe the numbers, Smith has swung the bat a little bit better in conference games. So I guess the criteria is maybe just a little bit of gut instinct, feel, maybe looking at some numbers and seeing if one is just a lot better matchup against that pitching. In some situations, it's more of, I think it's going to be a tight game, or there's going to be a lot of, ground balls hit that way or bunting, and maybe you go with a more experienced defender. But it's been difficult to figure out how to handle that one. The other parts of the lineup are not set in stone, but definitely there's been 7 or 8 guys that are starters, and a couple of guys platoon in third base is definitely one of those positions. So I don't know if there's really one definitive answer. It's more about just feel and kind of going with the hot guy or maybe the better defender on certain days.
Thank you.
Bill?
Coach, Cops picked up National Player of the Week awards and also had to share the SEC Player of the Week. A lot of fans are wondering, how does that happen?
How does he share it, or how does he pick up the award?
Well, how does he have to share? He gets the National Player of the Week and then has to share the SEC, and a lot of fans don't see the dichotomy of how those two work together.
Well, those two groups don't work together. That's how. You've got the SEC, and they probably could care less what national people say. They're going to go on what they see. And I think Rocker had an incredible outing. Cops was an incredible 2 days for us. So I guess they decided to pick 2 of them. They couldn't decide on one, obviously. And then, collegiate baseball, they're out of Arizona. They're just kind of looking at some numbers and they make a decision. And so I get where the fans are coming from. But then again, I get it. There's great outings all over the place, whether it's a hitter or pitchers. And it's probably really, really difficult to select a guy. If somebody throws a perfect game and it's a big game and good competition, that might be easy. But when things are going on the way they go on in our league, is so talented. I get the sharing thing. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, honestly, picking those some weeks. Matt, you have anything?
Yeah, I do. Hey, with Wicklander, what's been the? Let me go back. He had the great outing against Alabama out of the bullpen. How much did you feel like that kind of set him on the course of the way he's pitched over the last few weeks? And then what's been the key to him maintaining that?
Yeah, the Alabama outing was probably the one that obviously convinced us that he was ready to go back to being a starter if needed. And for him personally, I just think it's more, that gave him a lot of confidence to get against a really good offensive team. Gave us and the players, the rest of the team, confidence in him. I think he sensed that, and he's built off of that. And again, what he's doing is he's healthy. I think he's strong, and he's managing everything. And obviously, I mentioned last week that he's got really repeatable mechanics, and he gets the ball, he gets on the mound, he gets the signal, and he pitches. He's not out there thinking and stepping around, moving around. You can just tell he's ready to go, and he's pitching both sides of the plate. He's done a tremendous job for us.
And then when he's not pitching, he seems like he's really engaged. One of the first guys out of the dugout to meet the guys coming off the field. How much have you seen that from him, and of a leadership position that he's taken?
I've seen it a lot. And those are things that I really tune into. I just think at this level of baseball, it's very important for the players that are not starting, or the pitchers that aren't in the game, to be hooked up in the game and really following it pitch by pitch and pulling for their teammates. It's different than pro ball. And I talk to our players about it all the time. In the big leagues playing 162 games, and minor leagues are playing 130, whatever they play. I get it. You just kind of go about your job. Here, it's different. You're playing 3 or 4 times a week. You should enjoy it, have fun. You should pull for each other. And, there's a little bit more camaraderie here than there are at different levels. And I've seen that from older guys, and I think it's really important. The chemistry of the team is good.
Alex, coming back around to you.
Yeah, Dave, the home runs get all the attention, but y'all also lead the country in walks. What's been the key to that?
Well, obviously, it's about home base percentage for us. And, a 2-run homer is a lot better than a solo. And we always tell our pitchers and our, that solo homers aren't going to beat you. It's those 3-run homers that'll get you. And if you give up a home run here or there, nobody on, not a problem. Just means you're attacking the zone. Guy put a good swing on it. But I'd say a little over a month ago, we discussed it with the team that if we want to make a move to the next level, we have to do 2 things. Number one, we need to throw more strikes. And number 2, we've got to cut down on our strikeouts. And I think, Coach Thompson could answer it better than me, but they've worked on it hard and made it a little bit of an adjustment, maybe an approach thing and a team thing. And it's definitely paying off. And yeah, we strike out, but so does everybody else, because you're facing SEC pitching and they're really good. But we've also run into a lot of balls as well. And, it's nice when you're getting pitchers' pitch counts up, and that's what we've done. And we're getting into the bullpen. There's usually a reason guys aren't starting. Either your closers, 1 or 2 inning guys, those middle guys are not quite as good as those starters. And if you can get there, you got a little bit better chance to score.
And then, you've said several times that you expected there to be a lot of home runs up and down the order because of the power. Did you see this kind of the approach where you're drawing a lot of walks and getting opposing pitch counts up? Is that something you also expected?
Well, I would say you expect it, yes. The home runs, we saw that in the fall, and I've mentioned that a couple of times, that up and down the lineup, guys were hitting home runs. We hit more home runs this past fall than we did, in the fall of 17. And the 18 team hit like almost 100 home runs, and the 19 team, had a lot of home runs. We hit more home runs this past fall. So we were worried that maybe the pitching, we didn't have that guy that can shut you down, but it wasn't really about the pitching. We just have guys that can hit the ball out of the park. It's a little bit the way they're coached and the approach at the plate. The walks, they should go with a disciplined team that's making you pitch early in the count. Throwing you pitches you're going to swing at early, then it'd be a good pitch that you can hit hard. And if they don't get that pitch, they take it. Maybe 3-1, it's borderline. You go ahead and take it. Go to 3-2 if it's a pitcher's pitch. And I just think our hitters have done a good job. And I think the more at bats we've gotten, second half of the season, they're more confident on what they see. They're not chasing as much. Every now and then you're going to get fooled, and that's obvious. And some of the strikeouts that we have are looking, but when you go back and you look at the TrackMan or some of this info that we have, they're 2 balls out. we get it when it's one ball out. That's more of a 50-50 ball, we call it. But 2 balls out, it's a ball. So, umpires they're going to miss some too. It's just the way it worked. But overall, we've done a tremendous job the last 4 or 5 weeks of getting pitch counts up, swinging at strikes, and making guys work on that other team.
Bob?
Yeah, Dave, I know you're zoned in on your team, so I don't know if you even realize this, but the softball team is going to be down there in Baton Rouge, and the men's and women's track teams are going to be down there. So it's kind of like Razorback weekend in Baton Rouge. Just wondering kind of what you thought about all the teams going down there, taking on LSU this weekend.
Well, we talked about it this morning on our staff. We met for a few minutes, talked about that. I think softball doesn't play till Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I may be wrong there,
No,
but
that's right.
they're playing on Saturday night, same time we're playing. If they were playing a day game, we'd probably run over and watch a couple innings just to get out of the hotel, do something. And I knew track was down there as well on Saturday. So hopefully they do well. Big weekend for softball. They're trying to win an outright championship. They need to win a couple of games. They might be in really good shape. So really pulling for Courtney and the girls, the young ladies. And I always say girls because I had 2 daughters, and that's who I always called them. But I went over and watched them play a couple of times this weekend, and they're really good. They're really good. Missouri's really good too, and they struggled a little bit, but they bounced back Monday. That was a huge win, and sometimes it just happens. It's tough to beat people every weekend. Happy for them and their program. Track is just always good. So they're fun to watch.
How cool would that be if you guys could all go in there and like you win a series, softball wins a series, track kicks ass? What would you think about that?
Kick what? Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah. So it would be great. Honestly, we follow each other. We pull for each other. We all text each other back and forth. Coach Buckner, myself, Coach Harder, Courtney, and a lot of us. We're pulling for each other. Just like when Coach McMakin's golf team was so close this past weekend, we were all following it. We've had a tremendous year this year with all the programs. I mean, you look at it, soccer and basketball, football got better and going to get better. I mean, you all know this and you've written about it, but our athletic department has had an incredible year. If you're just talking about wins, academically, I think it's been as good a year as I've seen, and I've been here a long time now, and it's been fun to be a part of it.
I think I've never been good at math, but I think you and the softball team are 70-14. Well, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really. I mean, it's hard to win. Winning's not easy. I tell our players that all the time. It's easy to be average at this level if you have good players, but winning is tough, and you don't just show up and win. You got to find a way to win, and you got to fight to win. And I think the 2 programs do that.
I just got one more back on the team. Gregory seemed like he did pretty well in leadoff last week. Moore obviously did pretty well batting 6-0. Is that something you plan to maintain, or what's your thoughts on that?
And I talked to the team about it last weekend before the series opened up. I said, hey, here's a move we're going to make. We're going to move Gregory to the top. We're going to move Robert down to hit behind Franklin. Robert likes to swing and drive in runs, and it worked out the first day. The second couple of days, not so great. But I just think for our team, if we could have a leadoff man, whether it's Gregory or Webb, and I know Webb's batting average is not where it should be, but as far as fighting and getting pitch counts up and being able to bunt, he will see some pitches if we put him there. I'd like to leave the next 5 guys in that order. Gregory's been a tough out. He can bunt. He'll get deep in the counts, fouls off pitches. Hits lefties really well, where I really don't have to make an adjustment there. So I think you can probably plan on seeing that unless something happens.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Russell?
Coach, I'm wondering if you could tell us or just put into words just how valuable Kevin Kopps has been and what he's doing, right now.
Well, anytime you have a pitcher or a 2 that you have in the bullpen that you can put in the middle or the end of the game, knowing that you've got a really, really good shot of finishing this thing up, especially when you have the lead. It's like with Matt Cronin when he was rolling here. You get to the 9th inning or maybe the 8th inning with 2 outs, a tough situation. You could get 4 outs out of him, 3 for sure. It was a pretty good feeling. With Kevin, you just know the dedication that's going to the mound and what comes with it. You know that it's not just about talent. It's about work ethic and makeup. There's a lot more to Kevin than a lot of people realize. And not only is he a really good pitcher, he's a great teammate. He's a really good human being. And we know how hard Kevin has worked in our program to have the success that he's having. So as a coach, you put that guy out there, you're just kind of like, hey, we got a great opportunity to finish this game. But at the same time, if it doesn't go so good, you put the right guy out there, and we don't expect Kevin to be, perfect every time or do what he's done every time, just about every time this year. But we know that it's a really good opportunity for us to finish the game on top.